It's just a small debt, nothing major. My fiancée laughed when I uncovered the concealed documents. $380,000 isn't much for someone like you, she smirked. I nodded and called off our wedding that night. When her creditors started reaching out to me, instead of her, she was pounding on my door. I'm 32M, and I had been with my fiancé, 29F, for 4 years, engaged for 8 months. I work in tech, earn a decent salary, and have always been cautious with my finances. My fiancé works in marketing, makes good money as well, but has never been the most disciplined spender. Last Tuesday, while clearing out our spare room to make space for wedding gifts, I found a folder wedged between the bookshelf and the wall. Inside were loan statements, credit card bills, and collection notices, all in my fiancé's name, all showing staggering debt. $380,000 in total. Maxed out credit cards, personal loans, even a second mortgage on property I had no idea she owned. Some of the collection notices dated back to before we had even met. When she got home that evening, I had the folder laid out on the coffee table. She froze at the sight of it. "What's that?" she asked, though her expression already revealed she knew exactly what it was. "Found this while cleaning. Care to explain?" I kept my voice steady, though I was panicking inside. She laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, that? It's just a little debt. Nothing serious." $380,000 isn't a little debt, I said. "Why didn't you tell me before we got engaged?" She sat down, completely unbothered. $380,000 isn't much for someone like you. Someone like me? I was stunned. What does that mean? Come on, she smirked, crossing her arms. You make good money. Your parents are well off, and you've been saving forever. Once we're married, we'll just pay it off with your savings. No big deal. It felt like a punch to the gut. My savings, the money she had never contributed to, the money I had worked 70-hour weeks for. Were you ever going to tell me? I asked. Eventually, after the wedding, probably. Why stress about it now? I didn't say much after that, just nodded, and went about my evening like nothing was wrong. She seemed to think the matter was settled. Crisis averted. That night, while she slept, I made some calls, canceled the venue, contacted my parents, got in touch with the wedding planner. By morning, the wedding was officially off. I told her over breakfast. At first, she laughed, assuming I was joking. When she realized I was serious, she lost it, called me selfish, controlling, accused me of overreacting to a few bills. I packed my essentials and moved out that same day. Blocked her on everything except email, which I needed for logistical reasons. 3 days later, her creditors started calling me. Somehow, she had listed my contact information without my consent. That's when she showed up at my temporary apartment, banging on the door, screaming that I needed to fix this and that I had ruined everything. I didn't open the door, just sent her a text. Your debt, your problem. Since then, she's been bombarding my phone from different numbers. Her friends have also been messaging me, calling me heartless for abandoning her in her time of need. Am I crazy for walking away? She was literally planning to use me as her personal ATM without my knowledge. It feels like I dodged a bullet, but with everyone acting like I'm the villain, I'm second-guessing myself. The situation blew up. Thanks for the support. Yes, I've got copies of everything, and no, my name isn't attached to any of her debt. I confirmed with my lawyer yesterday. A week has passed since I called off the wedding, and things have escalated dramatically. Her mother showed up at my parents' house, where I'm not even staying, causing a scene on the front lawn, yelling about how I was ruining her daughter's life over a few financial mistakes. My dad just stood there with his arms crossed until she finished her rant, then said, "If $380,000 is just a few mistakes, I'd hate to see what you consider a serious problem." Then he turned around, walked inside, and locked the door. Absolute legend. Later that day, I received an email from my fiancée proposing a compromise. We proceed with the wedding, using my money, of course, and in return, she'd agree to credit counseling afterward. She even attached a budget plan showing how we could eliminate her debt in just 12 years using my income and savings. The audacity! I didn't respond, which triggered an avalanche of texts from her friends. "You could at least talk to her instead of being such a coward," one wrote. "She made some mistakes, but she loves you." Loves me? Or loves my wallet? Then, just to be sure, I checked my credit report. Thanks to those who suggested it. I found 2 recent credit inquiries I never authorized. Alarmed, I contacted the banks. Someone had attempted to apply for loans in my name, but got rejected due to inconsistencies. The contact number listed on the applications? My fiancée's. I've frozen my credit and submitted a police report. Yesterday, I consulted my attorney, who verified that I have no legal responsibility for her debt, and the unauthorized credit applications could be classified as identity theft. The most astonishing part? I was at a cafe when I unintentionally overheard my fiancée at a nearby table, concealed behind a divider. She was confiding in her maid of honor, saying, "He'll come around. He's too kind-hearted to actually go through with canceling everything." Her friend inquired, "But what if he doesn't?" She nonchalantly replied, "Then I'll have to move to Plan B. I still have his grandmother's ring. It's worth at least $40,000. Plus, I have his banking credentials and emergency fund, you know." The ring was still in our apartment, and there was one investment account for which I hadn't yet updated the passwords. I discreetly left without them spotting me, contacted my attorney, and proceeded directly to my former apartment with a police escort to retrieve my grandmother's ring. My fiancée wasn't home, but her sister was there, gathering some belongings. The expression on her face when I entered with a cop? Absolutely priceless. I secured the ring, altered all passwords, transferred funds from that old account to a newly established bank, and meticulously documented everything. When my fiancée discovered what had happened, she called, screaming about how I had publicly humiliated her and how the ring rightfully belonged to her. I simply ended the call. Her creditors called persistently. I blocked around 15 different numbers. It turns out she listed me as her fiancé and future spouse on multiple credit applications. Some mutual friends have begun asking for my side of the story because she's spreading claims that I suddenly became domineering and overreacted to a small amount of student debt. $380,000 of student debt, right? I've been showing them the actual paperwork. Most were appalled. A few still suggested I should reconcile with her because everyone has debt. Those individuals are no longer my friends. The wedding venue waived the cancellation fee. The manager admitted it happens more frequently than people think, and that it's better to pay a cancellation fee than to hire a divorce lawyer later. I'm currently staying with a friend while searching for my own apartment. My fiancée oscillates between pleading with me to reconsider and threatening legal action. Her mother has called my workplace twice. The most surreal part? I don't even feel heartbroken anymore, just relieved, like I narrowly escaped walking off a cliff. Edit. Yes, I've changed every password, security question, everything. The ring is now in a safety deposit box. I'm not taking any chances. Final update. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I'm finally closing this chapter of my life. Thank you to everyone who followed my journey and provided support. The biggest update? My ex-fiancée was arrested 3 months ago. Not for the debt, but for attempting to break into my new apartment at 2 a.m. while intoxicated. My security camera captured everything, and the police arrived while she was still fumbling with the lock. She was charged with attempted burglary and violating the restraining order I obtained after she showed up at my workplace. That was the wake-up call her family needed. They finally stopped blaming me and arranged for her to undergo a court-mandated psychiatric evaluation, which diagnosed her with narcissistic personality disorder and a gambling addiction. Turns out, a significant portion of that debt wasn't just from shopping, it was from online gambling. The financial aftermath has been catastrophic. Her parents were forced to sell their vacation home to settle the fraudulent mortgage she had taken out in their names. 3 creditors have successfully won legal judgments against her, and her wages will be garnished indefinitely. She declared bankruptcy, but much of the debt wasn't dischargeable due to fraud. Her career is in ruins. After being fired, she attempted to rebrand herself as a financial freedom coach on Instagram. The irony, right? That venture collapsed when a creditor found her account and flooded every post with details of her debt. She is now working as a barista, living with her parents, who have assumed complete control over her finances. The identity theft cases were resolved in my favor. She had attempted to open accounts in my name at least 7 times before I even discovered those debt documents. Her scheme had been in motion for months. She's now in a diversion program instead of facing charges, thanks to her parents pleading with the district attorney. As for me, life is better than I ever anticipated. I sold my stake in my tech company and launched my own consulting business, something my ex always claimed was too risky. Business is thriving. I'm traveling more and have started dating again. Nothing too serious yet, but it's refreshing to meet financially responsible people who don't view me as a walking ATM. I even reconnected with an old college friend who is now a financial advisor. She helped me restructure my investment strategy and fortify everything. We've grown close, and while I'm proceeding with caution, there's definite potential there. Last week, I received a handwritten letter from my ex, her first communication in months that wasn't a demand or a threat. She apologized, claimed she's in therapy, and said she's finally recognizing the harm she inflicted. She asked for forgiveness, not reconciliation. I haven't responded. I'm not sure I ever will. Her sister says the therapy appears genuine this time, that the arrest was the rock bottom she needed. A part of me hopes that's true, not because I care about her happiness, but because I wouldn't wish her self-destructive chaos on anyone. The wedding would have been 2 months ago. Occasionally, I think about that alternate reality, the one where I never uncovered those papers, where I unknowingly married her, only to wake up one day with my savings depleted and my credit ruined. The thought still sends shivers down my spine. So that's it. The $380,000 saga, which ultimately ballooned to $430,000, is finally over. With zero assets to show for it, only a trail of financial devastation and shattered relationships. For anyone in a similar predicament, trust your instincts, safeguard your assets, document everything, and always remember, someone who genuinely loves you would never jeopardize your financial security without your consent. Life is good now, different from what I envisioned, but good, and most importantly, debt-free. Edit. People are asking if I've forgiven her. I don't think forgiveness is a simple yes or no decision. I'm not angry anymore, and that, in itself, is a form of liberation. I wish her well, but from a very, very safe distance, with exceptionally strong security on all my accounts.